At today's Cook County Board meeting, we will be introducing an ordinance to overhaul the county's procurement process. In my inauguration address, I laid out the principles by which we would define this administration: fiscal responsibility, innovative leadership, transparency and accountability, and improved services. Each one of these principles factors into our goal of reforming the county's procurement process. A transformation of the procurement process to this extent is the result of long hours of work put in by many people throughout the President's office. I especially want to thank Lourdes Koss, our purchasing agent, Laverne Hall, our Director of Contract Compliance. Laverne and Lourdes were two of our early hires and tasked with leading our purchasing team. They immediately began working to identify cost-saving and efficiency-increasing initiatives. The proposal we are introducing today reorganizes and streamlines the procurement process to avoid unnecessary delays. It clarifies positions, it provides internally consistent definitions, and eliminates the redundancy and inconsistency of certain provisions. This is part of our ongoing effort to streamline government and use the taxpayers' dollars more effectively. Let me briefly outline some of the key features of the proposed ordinance. One of the major improvements in this proposal is that it significantly streamlines the steps for board approval to align the county's process with current best practices and approaches used by other governments. The steps in the bid process have been significantly reduced, with board approval occurring at the stage at which it's most meaningful, at the time of the actual selection of the vendor and the execution of the contract. Previously, board approval was required for a series of inefficient steps such as permission to advertise, bid openings, and step-by-step approval of the contracting process. Going forward, the board approval will take place when it's most meaningful, at the time of the actual selection of the vendor and the execution of the contract. These changes will reduce the time it takes to procure goods and services by 6 to 8 weeks, and vendors will be paid more quickly. This is particularly significant for smaller businesses who have been hindered from engaging with the county because of the delays in payment. Under the current ordinance, if only one qualified bid is received, no bid envelope is opened and the rebid usually results. This practice significantly delays the procurement process and increases staff time unnecessarily, since no additional bids are usually received on a rebid. Under the new code, if only one bid is received, our staff is empowered to open the bid and continue the procurement process. While maintaining vigorous oversight, we've also sought to equalize the threshold required for board approval, raising the level for all contracts to $150,000. All contracts for supplies, materials, and equipment involving an expenditure of $100,000 or more, and all contracts for professional and managerial services involving an expenditure of $25,000 or more previously required board approval. Reducing the number of contracts considered will result in a significant savings of staff time and will allow the board to focus effectively on major contracts. The new code also includes significant improvements in how the county engages minority-owned and women-owned businesses. Under the new procurement code, the Contract Compliance Administrator now has the ability to set MBE and WBE goals on a contract-by-contract basis. This change allows for the nature of the contract and the local markets to be taken into account. The Contract Compliant Administrator will also have the ability to segment procurements so as to facilitate greater participation by MBE and WBE firms and small businesses. Currently, contracts for supplies, materials, and equipment equal to $100,000 or more required board approval. Contracts for professional and managerial services equal to $25,000 or more required board approval. This is simply inefficient and unnecessary, and it requires businesses to be buried in red tape. Overall, our new ordinance, long overdue, clarifies the procurement process. The new code clarifies and expressly allows for best procurement practices such as joint governmental purchasing and group purchasing. This enables us to proceed with our efforts to do joint purchasing with the Cook County Health and Hospital System and the City of Chicago, for example. Initiatives that will improve the efficiency of government and yield significant savings for our residents.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to highlight certain aspects of this proposed legislation that we believe represent a significant advancement in the procurement contracting process, and specifically in closing holes that, in the experience of the Inspector General's office, has resulted in significant waste and left Cook County vulnerable to fraudulent activity. In the past, specifically referring to service-related contracts, in the past, we had seen contracts that were entered into based on vague agreements that often involved prepayment for services, and there was no framework for follow-up to ensure that the services were actually performed. This proposed ordinance corrects that problem by ensuring that all work that is undertaken is documented, and all the time spent on all the work performed, any expenses incurred are all documented and submitted to Cook County government along with the invoice. In other words, a contractor will not receive payment for services without first submitting documentation ensuring that the work was actually performed. Also, this proposed ordinance limits the amount and the type of contracts for services that involve prepayment, something that was a problem in Cook County government in the past. Now, if a vendor for services requires prepayment, that process, or the reasoning, I should say, is very clear. It's going to be documented, it's going to be limited, and it's going to be made public if prepayment is ever granted to a contractor. So, based on all of this, the Inspector General's office firmly supports this, and we direct your attention specifically to sections 34, 310, and 311. Thank you, which accomplish these goals. Thank you very much.
I would just like to congratulate the President on once again fulfilling on a campaign promise to the citizens of the county. To her finance team, to her legal team, and the sponsors, this is a new day in Cook County. The Inspector General outlined a very important part of the ordinance, but again, I congratulate her on another campaign promise fulfilled.
I would too like to congratulate the President and all of the staff that worked to improve the procurement process. This is a major step forward. We will still be looking at other aspects to ensure greater transparency. I have not seen the final draft, but I did work and meet with her staff. They've been working now for about 6 months to get to where we are today. So I'm very proud to see that we are moving forward and looking forward to opening the process so that there can be a greater transparency.
This is a great day for us in procurement because we have an opportunity to implement best practices and with a code that significantly streamlines the process. Thank you. Thank you to all who cooperated and participated in this process.